So this next layout, I'm going to be doing a layout about lemons and how all my life that I have loved lemons. And I had this on the little journaling card, so it reminded me that's what I wanted to do. But I do have paper that has lemons on it, and I thought, what am I going to do with that? And then that's when I thought that I should do probably a layout about how I eat lemons like I eat oranges. And I really love that it has green and yellow. Just that way it's not just a whole yellow layout that the photo would get lost on the layout. So now I've separated all my embellishments off to the side here, and I'm going to put you on fast forward. We're going to get the base of the layout done, and then we'll come back when it's time to do the embellishments. One thing that this whole procedure has shown me is that I spend way more time on my embellishment clusters than I do with my pattern paper. So let's talk a little bit about what I did. I had a 4x4 photo. I matted it with some green cardstock, and then I had this lemon pattern paper. I cut it down to about 2.5 by 8. I cut a 6x6 square out of that green pattern paper, and then another strip that's about 4 by 8. I don't measure things, I just cut until I like the length of it. And then I did grab one of my grid papers and I cut to about 4 by 5 just for a little spot to do my journaling. Then before I glued everything down, I just took some distress ink and inked all the edges of the pattern paper. Now I have all my background all done. The only thing I added is I went into my stash and grabbed a grid paper in yellow, and that's where I'm going to do my journaling. Now, one sort of rule of thumb is, I look at this and I say, okay, where do I start with an embellishment cluster? Now, a lot of times what I'll do is right away, I'll try to tuck one with my journaling cluster. So then right off the bat, I don't really have to think about it too much. I just go, okay, I'm going to start with my embellishment cluster. And then I'll take the foundation and I'll get it going. Now, in this case, I went, okay, do I want the label at the bottom? But then it leaves kind of a weird trapped white space there. So I can still leave it there, but then if I leave it there, I have to think, okay, I need to put another embellishment there to close off that weird white space that's trapped. So I can maybe put this. I look at that one and say, okay, from there, where would be my next embellishment cluster? So I usually go right across, or I could go right across. I could put it up here. And then same thing, I just take whatever I used in the first one and just duplicate it. So once you have your page kit done, you've kind of limited what you're going to use. So it makes it so much easier because I'm not looking at all the stuff that I have. I just go with what's in my embellishment cluster. Or what's in my page kit. I like this right here, because these lemons, they've caused a lot of discussions over the years. Because people just can't understand why I eat lemons like oranges. And I hadn't met anybody else that ate oranges, and when I met my husband, he ate oranges too. And now all our kids eat lemons. He ate lemons too as oranges. And all our kids now, because it was something that we eat. Like we buy a bag of lemons like we buy a bag of oranges. To us it's the same. Like it's a fruit that we just eat. Okay, so I like this because it goes right across, and then there's a lot of white space on the outside because I kind of kept this right in the center here. So I have my triangle and it's right in the photos right in the center. So now I'm just going to start gluing down because I know I like it. And that's as much of thinking as I do. I just start with one spot, then I go right across. You know, I could have went right across in that direction, but I just choose a direction, I guess, and then try out an embellishment cluster there. And then if I like it, I move on. If I don't like it, then I would go on to the next. Like if this was up any higher, I wouldn't want an embellishment cluster there. So I would have looked at somewhere else, like maybe on the side, because I would have had more room. But in this case, I had plenty of room. So I'm going to go right here. And once I have my foundation down, then I start with, okay, what is left in my kit that I can try out? Because I will try out every single piece of embellishments that I put with this page kit. Now, you know, there's some stuff in here that just doesn't fit at all. You know, I have goals here. Well, I'm talking about lemons on the trail. Well, that doesn't really go with it. I could try to use this as an extra embellishment. And then I have this. Same thing with this little geotag. And that's okay. I mean, I have enough of other embellishments. And same thing with that cell phone. I'll keep that for another layout. That's all good. One thing I did grab from my stash, some yellow flares that I made. And it just reminded me of lemons. So I'm going to try and use them on this layout, all three of them. And then I'm going to, so I know I'm not going to use those. This I might use for color. No. This and this I might use for color. I have hearts and stars and enamel dots. And you know, I just had a thought. How about if I do sort of one of each, just for something different. I'm going to do a star, a heart, like this, because there's little hearts in there. And then I'm going to do an enamel dot, and there's a big one there, so I'll just use the other three. I might still move those around. And then these, I like putting them down with some glue dots. And with things like that, like I glue them down because they're fairly easy to move around. So even if, you know, I put them down somewhere and I don't really like where it is, I can easily move them around. So I'm going to glue these down first. And then once those are down, then I'll figure out if I want to move those. And, you know, maybe I'll be like, no, I kind of don't like the 3 different embellishments. But until you try something, then you can, you know, say, yes, I like it, or no, I don't. What I can do is separate them a little bit more so that, yeah, I think I like the star, not with the rest of the stuff. So I'm gonna move that around. Maybe the heart down here instead. Okay, so I've kind of put the heart and the enamel dot on one side of the heart and the star on the other, and I think I like that better. Now I have those two, but I think I have enough going on right now. And I was gonna maybe use that for journaling, but I have way more journaling than this. So I'm gonna put that to the side. I already have labels. So I like the word yay. So I don't know if that's gonna fit though. I could, it's a little like flag or a tab. And it kind of doesn't go. So if I cut it into a square, then I can use it. I don't know if it'll cut well into a square though. So I want, if this would have cut into a square, let me see. I think if I cut close enough to it, I can cut it into a square. There we go. So I don't mind taking some embellishments and cutting into them. And then I'll just put it, because I have a word here, word here, word here. So then it coordinates. I can maybe I'm gonna cut this off a little bit. And I can stick that under there. It just adds a little bit more to that cluster and it fills it up a little bit. And I like that it's got a little bit of like punched out edges. So I'm gonna tuck that in and just make it stick out just a little bit like that. Now I can maybe cut this in half because I don't need a lot in the other two. I'm just gonna, again, put it next to the flare so that it makes it look like I intended to have those next to the flare. I'm just gonna stick it under there, stick the flare over top, and then I'm gonna put my enamel dot. Okay, so that used that up. So it was one or the other that I used, and I just liked how this had a little bit of texture. Okay, so now I'm gonna cover the photo. I went into my stash and I got this Mr. Huey's. It's called Cash Money, and it's a nice dark green. So I covered my photo, and I'm just gonna add a few splatters just to add a little bit of texture. This too, sometimes I get on a kick and I got to put splatters on every single layout, and then I'll go quite a few layouts that I don't put any splatters. So it's all about how, you know, I'm kind of feeling, and if I feel like, oh, it just needs, it's too plain, I just need a little bit more extra. So I've tried every embellishment, and these are the ones that made the layout. The other ones I'll just stick into my container and I'll give them a second chance. You know, when I make more page kits, I'll go through this, and well, when I'm done making all my page kits, I'll go through this and divide them by color. And then next time they'll be in my iris containers. The reason that I keep them in here is while I'm making all these page kits, if I run out, you know, if I get to the next kit and I run out of green, well, I can go in here and just give those embellishments a second chance. So I was ready to put this away, and then I thought, oh, I just want to do a title. And I decided on I Lemon You. And I just went to get these sticky keys from October Afternoon, and I just put it on wax paper. That way I can move it around and see where I like it. And then I can hopefully just glue it once. So I'm just going to put this sideways because I find it easier to glue down my letters. And I kind of overlap the circles so that each word looks like it belongs together. You don't have to wonder, you know, what does it say, because it's 3 separate words. You could put a space in between. I just sometimes, especially if my space is limited, didn't have room here to put each letter separate. So by overlapping it, it gives me the room to put the whole title. So that's it. That's going to complete this layout.